Our humble tea was once a political statement backed by global wars, monopolies, and revolutions. Intercontinental wars have been fought over this humble brew, and you thought it was just a chai. It all began when tea originated in China. For centuries, China and some regions of Southeast Asia cultivated and consumed tea. And then came the Europeans. Tea was introduced to England around 1650s and popularized after the marriage of Portugal's Catherine of Braganza to Charles II. Yes, this is the same Catherine of Braganza whose marriage gift or dowry to England was a tiny island in India's west coast, Mumbai. With Catherine's marriage, tea became fashionable among British elites. By 1760s, tea is the biggest import of East India Company to Europe, and over half of tea consumed in Britain is smuggled in. So East India Company is effectively a global smuggling racket backed by the British Crown. Now remind me, what were Trump's charges against the Venezuelan president? After the Battle of Plassey in 1757 and fall of Bengal to East India Company, revenue from Bengal is used to purchase large quantities of tea from China and export to America, which is a British colony during this time. The British Crown had amassed a lot of debt after fighting costly wars with France for the last couple of decades. Hence, it enforced the East India Company as the monopolist trader in America. It's easier to tax and supervise one company rather than multiple smaller ones. This removed all the American middlemen from the profitable tea trade. Now, of course, the American middlemen became extremely angry. On the night of December 16, 1773, members from a group of disgruntled traders and artisans boarded ships in Boston Harbor and dumped 342 chests of tea into the water. No other cargo was touched. No one was injured. This was targeted destruction, and the incident became popular as the Boston Tea Party. The British response was harsh. Parliament imposed the Coercive Acts, closing Boston's port and tightening control over Massachusetts. This had a completely opposite effect. Instead of isolating Boston and controlling the unrest, it united the American colonies. This triggered the American War of Independence. And now came the deliberate politicization of drinking habits. The independence leaders or the patriots explicitly discouraged tea consumption. Tea boycotts were promoted. Spurning tea became a civic act, just like how wearing khadi or Indian-made clothes and boycotting and burning Western clothes became a symbol for Indian nationalists a century later. And in this cultural pivot, coffee became the drink of choice. But why coffee? Why not some other beverage? Remember the long 7-year war between France and Britain, which was fought a few years earlier? In that war, France lost all of its North American territories, including Canada, Mississippi Basin, and Louisiana, while only retaining the Caribbean islands. The French were already fanning the separatist movement, which now metamorphosed into the American War of Independence, with covert supply of money, arms, and other resources. Now, the French used existing trade networks through this Caribbean islands to import coffee as replacement beverage in America. And with the eventual independence in the next few years, America developed a caffeine identity very distinct from Britain. So our much needed chai or coffee sutta breaks have deep global political identities. It's not only the place of origin, chai being Chinese, coffee African, and tobacco South American, but empires rose, fell, and bankrupted themselves. History didn't just create borders, it built our habits too.